Can you hear me now? It'd help if I turn on my microphone, right? I hope you guys are doing well. Okay, so I don't know what I did with all the phone calls, but I've kind of scraped it together enough to do a live and to discuss it and talk about it a little bit, okay? Again, nobody is being diagnosed, all right? I am just talking about what might be happening, okay? Zelda says a 7.8 earthquake just struck Turkey. Let me look at that. That's kind of impressive, yeah? Turkey. Oh, like an hour, 10 hours ago. Oh, that was a long time ago. 10 hours ago. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody is doing very, very well. And what we're talking about tonight is we're going to talk about phone calls. Alex Murdaugh's phone calls. I'm also okay. I'm also going to sorry, I'm a bit scatterbrained right now. I got lost in a thought here. Sorry about that. Um, I'm also looking for information. There was a sex worker who did an interview on one of these podcasts. I believe it's Overkill, um, where they're talking about the Murdaugh family murders. And I want to try to find out, I want to try to find uh, more information about that. So there's not really much information out there about it. Um, it's hard to know if that was just something that was kind of sensationalized to market the podcast to get more people to watch it, maybe, or if it could really be. Um, I mean, of course, it's true. Nobody would take the chance of putting something untrue like that on a podcast because so many people watch, right? I want to put up a. But I'm going to try to find out a little bit more about it and see if I can gather enough information to make a live about it to talk about. Um, and so hopefully that will be coming in the next week or so. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm not diagnosing anyone, nothing like that. Um, the goal of what we're doing here is just to listen to these recorded telephone calls with the question of, what do they tell us? Like, what are some of the possibilities? Of course, I don't know the man, never spoken to the man. How would I have any kind of uh, special insider knowledge if I've never had an opportunity to speak to him? I'm strictly going by information that's been put out in the public realm, including these recorded jailhouse phone calls, and then talking about what the possibilities might be. Okay, so I'm being fairly vague here, correct? All right. So let's start. I'm so frustrated because I had put them all together ready to go, and you know how that went. So I don't know. I never did find the file for them. So, all right. So let's get started and see what we can learn about Alex Murdaugh.
Um, I,
Did you talk back to Butch?
I spoke to Butch a couple times on Friday, and he was supposed to be getting in touch with Hubbard.
I have a question. Can y'all hear that? Or was that too low? Yeah, that's what I thought. Too low, wasn't it? Okay, let's try this again.
Did you talk back to Butch?
Um, I spoke to Butch a couple times on Friday, and he was supposed to be getting in touch with Hubbard. He had gotten in touch with Hubbard, and Hubbard seems to, he just had, apparently Hubbard had to run it by, like, admissions and all this other stuff, to, I guess, to be able to set the record clean or whatever, but I haven't, Butch is probably going to call me this week, I would have.
Okay. Now, what this was during that period of time where Buster, the oldest son, the young prince, if you will, that he had been kicked out of University of North Carolina Law School. And the reason that he was kicked out is because he obviously was very special and he could do things that other people couldn't do because the rules are not there for the Murdaughs to follow. He's part of the elite class, or at least he's been raised to believe this, correct? And so he's been kicked out because he got caught cheating. And apparently it was a fairly egregious situation that unfolded because the Murdaugh clan from 100 years before, these were people that basically contributed a great deal of money to the University of North Carolina. Of South Carolina. They were alumni. They were prestigious alumni, and it was a family type of institution, and they taught classes there. And you can imagine a family that well connected, that close to the university. What would it have taken for him to actually be removed from the law school? So I have no doubt it was extensive, okay? Now, this guy, Alex, the father, he pays $65,000 to an attorney who's, for all intent purposes, he's a fixer. Now, he may be a very, prestigious guy, smooth talking, wearing, nice Pierre Cardin suits, but for really all intent purposes, he's a fixer. You get paid $65,000 cash to go and talk to the president of a law school to say, hey, the young prince Murdaugh, he's ready to get back into law school. How are we going to make that happen? What can you do? Well, what if we give you a $500,000 endowment to the law school? Will that do it? Now, I'm making that part up about the $500,000 endowment, but that's kind of how it goes. I'm here. We got a young prince. His family is special. I know you didn't really think the rules applied to him. So what can they do to make your life better? How can you exploit the fact that the young prince screwed up, got kicked out of school? Now how will you exploit that for the betterment of the law school? And I'm sure that there was some dealings that went on behind the scenes or whatever to try to make this happen. And in fact, we have the president of the university, one of the older presidents of the university, historically a president, who had to appear before the state Congress with questions of impropriety for just picking up the good old boy system, just picking up the phone and saying, hey man, my buddy from law school, my roommate, his son didn't make it into the new class. I think y'all made a mistake. I need you to go back and look again because I think he's a really fine guy, and I think that that's a student that our university would really benefit from having. And when you look at it, their SAT scores were not right, their grades were not right. They had received several DWIs. They had infractions for cheating. but still you're supposed to let them in because of who mommy or daddy were, right? So we've got video of him actually being called out publicly by Congress, going, is this like normal? And the poor old guy was so deep into the good old boy system, he had no idea that people were aghast. He just thought, yeah, I'm a powerful president of a university, and I'll just let whoever in want that I like their dad. So that's kind of what was going on, I believe, with Buster. And Butch is a fixer. He got $65,000 for this. And notice how the tone that Alec has is that it's a business deal, right? It's a business deal that is on the up and up, that everybody is doing what you're supposed to do. It's sort of like if Buster had really high grades, graduated in the top part of his class, and then won a scholarship, but he had to like fill out some paperwork, some documents and such. And the tone would be from dad to say, hey man, did you get in touch with the scholarship committee? You better get that done. It's very important. Right? It's like there's no awareness on Alex's part. There's no awareness that his son broke rules that basically could get him kicked out of every school within the state. There are a lot of these kids get caught cheating, and if it's a bad enough infraction, they'll be blackballed. They'll have to leave and go to a different state and try to get admitted. Something like law school, medical school, you get caught cheating, you're never getting back in, right? You're never getting back in. So this was fairly shocking that Alex was so matter of fact, and they're treating it like, oh yeah, Dad, I got my application filled out, it's all done, everything's great. So listen to the tone. There's no awareness. Now, does he have awareness? I have no idea. But talking to Buster? No. No kind of concept of, what the hell's wrong with you? Why did you cheat? What were you thinking? None of that normal parental reaction. More of, hey man, we need to get this done. And then notice this pattern will begin to emerge where Buster and Alec find fault in the person that they're asking for help from.
So did Butch think that they were going to do that? That Hubbard sounded willing to do that?
Yeah, Butch said that he was, he says that he's cautiously optimistic
About taking the restrictions off of you of making a 2.55.
Okay, now, again, this university, this law school, has kicked this guy out for a terrible cheating scandal, right? He's gone. Now, Butch, the fixer, has gone in. His pocket's heavy with $65,000 fee. He goes into the university. He gets in touch with them and says, hey, our young prince, maybe you weren't aware of who he was, but he is a state treasure. That is Buster Murdaugh, right? Okay. We got to do something to get back in. What can the Murdaugh family do to help the law school? And you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, right? Well, whatever machinations came to pass, the college said, okay, we'll let him back in. However, there are going to be some guidelines. There are going to be some boundaries here. This is not a one and done. He can come back in. He'll come back in at this time. And here are the requirements. Okay? The restrictions were fairly stringent. But shouldn't he have had some kind of punishment? One of the restrictions, which I found to be completely laughable, was Buster's grade point average was abysmal. It was terrible, right? And not only is he's asked, I mean, this is the level of entitlement is incredible. He's asking to be let back in the same law school that he got caught cheating, and he's asking to start over fresh, as if he were never enrolled, meaning with a 4.0 GPA rather than the low whatever to 1.5 1.7 GPA that he had. And then not only were he wanted that taken off so that he would start over like he was an incoming new student, right? And then they said that he had to keep a 2.55 GPA. That's a C, people. That's nothing. I've seen athletic programs with higher GPA requirements than that. But they're asking him, come back in, and you've got to keep a 2.55. And if he's already got like a 1.7 or 1.8, that's a lot of semesters of making 3.5, 4.0s. It's got hard work to get up above. Once you're down in that 1.0 to 1.9 range, it is very difficult to inch it back up to the 2.5, right? So was it a mountain to climb? Yes, absolutely. But he was very lucky that the university even considered giving him a pathway to success, right? So they give him a pathway to be a UNSC law school graduate, something I can't even believe they did. They give him a pathway, and it's going to be so tight that he's basically going to have there'll be no wiggle room. There'll be no playing around. It'll be that he'll have to be, totally focused, nose to the grindstone, no funny business, constant studying, and make it happen, right? Just do it, make it happen. What tons of students do all the time to earn 3.5, 4.0 GPAs. Kids that really care about what they're doing and they want to graduate and be at the top of their class. That's how they get through law school or medical school like that, is that they do have their head down, focused on the work. They're not being distracted by partying and drinking and all that crap, right? But this family is saying, hey man, let's talk. Come on, Butch. You know the good old boy system's in place here in South Carolina. Go on, go talk to him. I'll give you $100,000, Butch. Just go and talk to him. Let's start the semester over with even 4.0, and it'd be busters to mess up. Okay, number one requirement from Alec. Number two, let's take off this 2.55 GPA requirement. That's too hard. Other kids don't have to do that. Why is my boy Buster? Why is he having to do that? Don't you know who he is? So Buster now, instead of getting them saying thank you so much for achieving the impossible, now they're pushing Buster to have these guidelines lifted. And so that's what's being talked about here. Alex saying, why don't they let you back in like you're an incoming student and no minimum GPA requirement? They're like, he has no recognition that they've just, done the impossible by agreeing to let him back in.
Yeah, correct.
Now, if they do that, go ahead.
It seems to me like they have to, because they can't offer me to come back in the fall, and then I do everything in the fall, and they're like, well, I know what you did, but this is still your grade.
Yeah, say you go make a 3.2, and they say, well, you still got this. That doesn't make sense either. Now, if they offer you that, Buster, to start fresh, do you think that's the thing to do?
I do. I do think that's the thing to do.
I definitely think it's the thing to do. No
Especially
question.
given the scenario, you know.
And what that means is, he said, well, if they offer you to start fresh, do you think that's the thing to do? What he's saying is, they're going to wipe out all your bad grades. They're going to wipe out all the semesters that you failed, you got F's and you got D's. They're going to take that off, and you're going to enter in like you're a fresh, brand new student. They don't do that in college, people. And they damn sure don't do it in law school. That 4-point GPA is, you're building up your reputation and your stability, your consistency and performance. I've never heard of a college being willing to wipe out your GPA, to wipe out your transcript, take out all your semesters of screw ups, and letting you start over brand new fresh whenever you decide, much less after a damn cheating scandal that should have locked you out of the higher education system in the whole state. It's crazy. And yet, these two jugheads are talking about it like it's common practice. Number one, it shows you the level of entitlement that this family has. Number two, it shows you, it gives you this suggestion of a long history of zero accountability. The rules are not for me.
Me not knowing if I'm going to go back and work for the law firm, you know, my grades need to be as high as possible so that if I want a different job, I can get one.
No doubt. And that'll allow you to do that. Don't make up your mind till you know all the details, but I think that's a good thing. Well,
It's so laughable. It's so laughable for him to be saying, "Ooh, don't make up your mind until you know all the details." Like he is in control. This sounds like he is delusional. This sounds like he is not connected to reality, or he's playing a role. And what did we talk? We talked about the narcissistic mask, and it's designed to hide all of the failure beneath and all that, right? I think what you're seeing right here is that narcissism protective layer. I think you're seeing it in action. He is sitting in a jail cell. Buster talking about, well, if I'm not going to be able to come back and work at the law firm, I need to have a high GPA so I can get a job somewhere else. He's referring to the fact that the law firm is defunct. It's no more. It's been changed to a new company because this Alex Murdaugh has destroyed it through his financial graft and corruption. He's destroyed it. It's been shut down. Now the partners came back together and formed a new entity, but in terms of what they're talking about, they're out. They're not a part of it anymore, and they're talking about it like it's a real choice to be made. This is so eye-opening to me to listen to this. When you ask yourself, how does a guy get to the point where he murders his wife and his youngest son? How do you get to that point? Just like this, there's a delusional state that he's operating in. There's no empathy. There's zero awareness of the emotional toll of your own actions. And there's this huge sense of entitlement. I'm so special. The rules are not meant for me. It's all there in these phone calls. You can hear it. It's fascinating.
Glad for you to hear back from Butch. That's kind of exciting news, Buster. I've been worried to death about that.
All right. So he's been worried to death about old Buster. Poor old Buster. So it sounds like Buster's got it pretty good right now. You know what I mean? All right. So let me pull up another call. Hold on. This is a different phone call. This was with why isn't it stopping? Okay. All right, so this phone call was with the brother. Hold on 1 minute. Sorry about that. I had a slight problem I had to take care of. All right, let me get my headphones back on. Sorry about that. And now I need to share this with you guys. I know you're all chatting among yourselves. Okay, I'm gonna. Is it a video file? Yep, right there. Okay. Good deal.
Is Lizzie nearby?
She is.
Add to
I
the
talked to her earlier. She was
screen.
going to put some.
Okay, I gotta remove this because that is an overlay. There we go. All right, here we go.
Account for me, and she didn't.
Okay, now what is it?
This is where she knows what to do. The boy's name is Justin Lucas.
Okay.
All right, so this is his brother that he's on the phone with. And again, same idea. Listen to how matter of fact he is, as if he's at the office and he's just handling business.
She is.
I talked to her earlier. She was going to put some money on that account for me, and she didn't.
Okay, now what is it?
This is where she knows what to do. The boy's name is Justin Lucas.
Justin Lucas was a fellow inmate, a guy that was there at the jail at the same time that Alex Murdaugh was at the jail, and they were breaking the rules. They were breaking the rules. He still hasn't learned. He still has not learned, understood, recognized, incorporated the idea that he's got to follow rules. They're not for him.
Okay. And what is it then?
It's putting money on. He doesn't get canteen, so I give him some of the money, and he orders canteen. So I'm having to order thermals and all that. I'm having to order ibuprofen because I'm exercising and my knee and my shoulder, and hell, ibuprofen's $15 on there to get a week's supply.
I got you.
So it gives me extra canteen.
He's breaking the rules. What do y'all think of that? The rules are you only pay on your own canteen, right? But he can't get it. He just doesn't understand. He's not special. And he says on here, oh, well, if I do it this way, then it helps me, get the ibuprofen that I need. But other people can't do that, Alec. Other people are not allowed to play around like that. Now, you can hear his brother's a little bit skeptical. I don't think his brother believed the whole story. And frankly, I don't believe the story. I believe this was a sham that was put in place by he and Lucas, or that Lucas had going on, where Lucas is supplying contraband to the inmates. And I think that this was an avenue for Alec to get drugs. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. But listening to him talk, the way he describes it, it's very strange. And his brother sounds like, yeah, right, Alec. He didn't believe him either, I don't think.
I got you. And he doesn't get one?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get any. So she put it on his account. We just did it one time. We did it last week, and I'm gonna do it one more time.
Okay.
But I need her to do it right now.
All right. And what's the amount?
$60.
Okay.
And she's
Now, something about Alec, he likes that number 6, doesn't he? 60,000 to his one buddy. Now $60 to his jail buddy.
supposed to be keeping a track of all this so I can make sure and pay you back.
Oh, and that's the other thing I find very interesting in these Jailhouse video audio recordings. It's always, now you keep up with that money that I owe you because I'm going to pay you back. Now you be sure and keep up with that because I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to be paying you back now, you hear? So he freely asks for things. He freely believes that other people should do for him and give him cash and whatnot. And then it's always followed up with this, I'll pay you back. I'm good for it. No, Alec, you're not good for it. You're in prison forever and you're in debt up to your eyeballs. No, you're not paying anyone back.
10-4. Well, I'll get her. She's putting the kids down right now, putting Randolph down for Lord's grace.
How long?
Now, the one thing that I thought was very strange about this is that he's asking his brother's wife to do this bizarre money deal. Isn't that odd? If you find that odd, put a 1. That this guy who has allegedly murdered his son and his wife, that he has stolen from clients settlement money. He's embezzled cash from the law firm. He's engaged in graft and corruption at every turn. He has betrayed his best friend, current and childhood. He has extorted millions of dollars from the local bank. How is it that he gets his brother's wife to illegally put money on some other guy's cantina? Is that sketchy? I think it's very sketchy. I think it is definitely worth, some raised eyebrows. Like, oh, girl, tell me, how close have you and Alec been?
10-4. Well, I'll get her. She's putting the kids down right now, putting Randolph down for Lord's grace.
How long you think she'll be?
4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, because we have we have 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
All right.
At most.
Well, I'll get her right now and ask him.
You don't mind? Buster's staying in Brooklyn's tonight, right?
Yeah, he is.
All right, well, Jim and Dick are working hard, so...
What?
Jim and Dick are his attorneys. This man is a clown. He is literally a clown. And when is the last time, let me just ask you this too. When is the last time that you have ever seen anyone so anxious to get ibuprofen? What do you think, Shalimar? His urgency to get ibuprofen do you think that's authentic, or do you think he's really wanting some M&Ms? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? It's very strange. Right now, not 5 minutes ago, not 5 minutes from now, right this minute. We got 15 minutes. Please don't let her forget. I need it. I need that ibuprofen. Yes, Shalimar, that's no aspirin. There you go. Right? Maybe Tylenol 3. No, no doubt about it. And if you go back and you match up this period of time with a court appearance that he had, he was like a skeleton. I mean, he was skin and bones. And the phone calls during that period of time, he's talking about how he's living on Pop-Tarts and donuts, basically snack food that he's purchasing from the cantina, right? So how is it that a pudgy man like Murdaugh, when he was, out in the world and living his best life, he was pretty overweight. Now he's in jail and he's eating nothing but snack foods, basically carbs. And he gets down to skin and bones. He's not allowed outside of his cell, but a couple of hours in the afternoon. So what's he doing to have no weight on him at all? So I agree with y'all. I think it was some candy. I think he was buying him some candy. Or so he was buying a little bit of caffeine to put in his drink, right?
What are they working on? I mean, have all the charges been brought forward?
See, that's what I don't know. I don't know that yet. I don't know. I suspect that if they do it like they've done everything else, they'll sit and wait till something else comes up and then do some more charges.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. Have you talked to Randy since last week?
Yeah, I talked to him.
Randy's one of the partners.
Talked to him yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, you know about the law firm, don't you?
No.
Yeah, the law firm has dissolved, and they're reforming under a new name.
Okay, I want you to think about this for a minute, okay? The law firm has dissolved. He tells his brother, he tells Alec, the law firm is gone. The law firm that you destroyed by your financial graft and corruption, it's gone. A 4-generation law firm by South Carolina royalty, you destroyed it. You did it. It's dissolved. It's gone. It's over. Finished. Kaput. Right? What do you think his reaction is? Do you think he's devastated? Do you think he's embarrassed? Think he's apologetic to John Marvin, his brother? What do you think? Remember what I said about delusional thought? The necessity of organized delusion in order to keep his mask intact. Because he knows he is a capital L underneath all that Murdaugh Canane. He's got to be delusional, believing that he's special, he's competent, he's on the money. Now listen to the rap. He's just been told, you screwed us over, and now the law firm that it took 4 generations to build, it's gone, it's dead because of you. Listen to this.
I didn't know nothing about that. What is that?
Yes, because of all the negative publicity and all the stuff they're going through.
What is the new name?
They operate under the
What?
law. It's going to be operated under the Parker Law Group.
The what?
Parker Law Group. And then I think each one of them kind of opens up an LLC partnership or LLP in each partner's name and operates under the proper law group heading.
I hate having to go through all that.
Yeah, but they catching, they going through all kinds of stuff.
Is there anything I can help with?
Wow.
Nah, man. You know, I suspect when the time is right and the things that you acknowledge, I think opening up about it to the general public. Because there's a lot of people that just think that you're trying to duck everything. Leave, you know, I mean, obviously Corey's been fired. I mean, you knew about that, didn't you?
Been what?
Corey has been fired.
Legitimately, for real, or just...
I understand they've removed the name from the law firm, removed the name from the sign out front.
Corey is his best friend from childhood, who incidentally found himself in a great deal of legal trouble for this situation as well, right? Did you hear what he said? He said, "Okay, well, Corey's been fired, right? He's out. He's done." Listen to Murdaugh. What he says.
Been what?
Corey has been fired.
Legitimately, for real, or just...
I understand
What does that even mean? He's been fired. And the answer is legitimately for real, or just like in name to trick the public? Like, they wouldn't really fire him. It's just all pretend. What does that tell us? I think that tells us how it is that this clown has gotten to be who he is. That every time he would mess up, they would make some public statement about how, oh, Alex is on the out. But in reality, they just kept him stringing along. That he never really was hurt. He never suffered from his bad choices. It was all just surface appearances. Nothing else mattered to anyone, not the law, not protocol, hell, not even moral behavior. It doesn't sound like the story related to the prostitution was horrible. It was really more like sex slavery than it was prostitution. And, you know, Alex Murdaugh was there and in on it. So even the morality in this situation is askew in a dramatic fashion, right? But how many times have you guys heard me in this channel having this conversation about letting your children pay the price when they make a mistake? Because the brain needs to learn. When I do something, there are consequences. If I do good things, there are good consequences. If I do bad things, there are bad consequences. And no one will be there to make that go away. I have to make sure that my behavior is in order so that I don't face consequences, right? And when that happens to us in childhood, then we can grow up to become principled, moral adults, correct? But when you have a child who is not ever made to suffer consequences, the parent doesn't have the strength, the will, the knowledge to stand and say, wait a minute, you know, I want to rush in and help my child. I want to rush in and protect my child. Let's say your child steals $500 from the principal's office. And there's, you know, the whole juvenile process, and the kid has got to go to juvenile for 1 year. Parents will become frantic, and they'll hire attorneys, and they'll be all crazy trying to make that stop. They'll even move out of state to avoid the kid having consequences. But if you protect that child and they never suffer those consequences, then when they become an adult, then they'll very likely steal from their company or from friends and family, right? And here we are seeing it in, I mean, it's clear as a bell what I've said all along. That's exactly the way that Alex Murdaugh grew up. So when we sit around and we ask ourselves, how is it possible a person can get to a point where they drive, financially, they drive things into the ground, and then to cover it up, to buy themselves time to pay it back so that they don't have to go to jail, they're willing to kill a child and a wife. And we just laugh and go, that is just utterly ridiculous. That's just the most absurd motive imaginable. But is it so absurd? You hear this guy now. He is so shallow. There's no substance to the real Alex Murdaugh. He is all mask. It's all to design. It's all there to design. It's designed to hide the loser that he is, the incompetent person that he really is. It is said that his father and his grandfather, that they were very mean. They were bad guys, right? It is also said that he wasn't very smart in college. That's something else that we've talked about growing up. We always think we want to be a Kardashian. You know, we always think we want to grow up in a family with a lot of money, live in the good life and all that. But the reality is that those are very difficult families to grow up in. You don't want that role. You don't want to live with family members where being average is a bad thing. Well, the problem with being average is that most people are average. That's what we call normal. But if you come from multi-generational wealth and exceptional accomplishment, if you are normal, then that is scoffed. That is looked down upon. And so it is a very difficult place for a child to grow up and still be healthy by the time they reach adulthood. It's just as difficult to grow up in an uber wealthy family as it is to grow up in poverty. It's just as bad. Now the problems are different, but neither of those situations is really conducive to the healthy development of, a healthy personality, right? And we're hearing that in these phone calls. It goes along with my theory about, mediocrity is never acceptable in these uber wealthy old money families, and the terrible effect that it can have on the individual and their need. The narcissistic mask becomes a necessary survival tool. If you've got a mean dad or a mean grandpa, and you know that you're not capable, that you're not the legal eagle that everybody believes you are because you've got the Murdaugh name, you grow up in that family, then it all becomes about appearances. You're just playing. You're just pretending. You're wearing a Halloween costume. A Halloween costume that says, I am a rich, accomplished attorney. Look at me go. But the reality is that he roped a couple of his friends in that were good attorneys. One of them was a finance guy, and they had been friends for a long time, and they trusted him. They wanted that Murdaugh power and money to help them get rich, and he gave it to them. But before it was all over with, he sold them out. They went down with the ship. He's not the only one that got hurt. He took down entire institutions when he went down.
They've removed the name from the law firm, removed the name from the sign out front. and he's not working.
I knew he had some issues with the license, but no, I didn't know that.
Okay, if you couldn't hear him, he says, "Oh, well, I heard Corey had some trouble, some issues with his license, but I didn't know all that." No, Alec, it didn't have a damn thing to do with his license. It had to do with the dealings with you, stealing money from your clients. You roped your two friends in, one of them being Corey Fleming. You roped them in with you and stole some two kids' settlement money when the housekeeper died in your house. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, I knew old Corey. He's having some trouble with his license. That's just too bad. No, it didn't have anything to do with him and the license. It was you and your broken laws.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's permanent or whether that's just a temporary deal, or I'm not.
And you hear John Marvin is trying to go, well, actually, I think you're wrong about that, buddy. Even now, nobody is standing up to Alec. Why? Why is it John Marvin right then, when he said, well, I heard he had a license problem, why is it that John Marvin didn't say, Alec, you asshole? He didn't get fired because of his license. He got fired because of your dumbass. You're the one that has drug everybody down. The law firm has been destroyed because of you. The Palmetto State Bank is destroyed because of you. The finance company, can't think of the name right now, because of you, because you stole from people. You did it. But they won't confront him. The only one that even comes close to confronting him is Prince Buster.
I don't know, but I suspect it's more permanent. I just think that they talk to Jim and Dick, and I think that you talking about certain things is coming back and talking about it is going to make a difference.
Now, what John Marvin is trying to do, this is the second time in this phone call that he's saying to Alex, if you really want to help, we need you to tell the truth. He's in 2 times in this one phone call, but he's so gentle. He's so careful. You can tell he's hesitant. He doesn't quite know how to speak up to Alec and just tell him, hey, this is how the cow ate the cabbage, buddy. This is it. You screwed up. We're all going down with the ship unless you step up and you make a plea deal and you just take it on the chin. Well, Alex Murdaugh isn't going to admit to anything.
It's got to. I mean, that's the only thing that can make a difference, I think.
What do you mean talking about what?
If you've been charged with something that you did, acknowledge it and accept it and making clear who didn't do anything.
So
but obviously, only if there's something. Oh, there's people saying that the law firm's done all kinds of stuff. There's people saying, Alex, it's amazing what's going on. They're saying that the law firm has done all kinds of stuff. They're saying that Corey, Chad, Russell, Chris, you name it, and everybody's implicated. Now, this isn't coming from law enforcement, to my knowledge. This is just rumor on the street.
I mean, I said
and there's been no talk whatsoever from anybody in an official capacity. So, I just think it'll make a difference.
When I talked to the court the other day, one of the things I said was, my partners didn't know anything. And I said, Chris and Corey,
Yeah,
did they not bring any of that?
No, I meant very little.
Now, I want you to remember that pattern of speech. What? They didn't print any of that? What? The college told me, Buster. they told me they were going to let you in. Butch told me that. I can't, golly, I can't believe he lied about that. That is an actual phone call that he missed, where he was talking to Buster. So this is his pattern of lies and manipulations. His brother is saying, you have hurt so many people, and you have got to accept full responsibility of this, or everybody is going to. And indeed, they have. The president of the bank is in jail for decades. I mean, this was terrible what played out, right? And I believe in the good old boy club. I don't think that Corey Fleming was completely blameless. I think he probably knew more than he admitted to knowing, but still, his brother is saying to him, we need you to plead guilty. You just own it. Make it legal. Make a legal statement. Plead guilty. You're the only one involved. Nobody else had anything to do with it. Make a deal. Get the cops to say, we're not going after any of the partners. We're not going after the bank. We're not going after your best friend. We're not going after the financial group. Just own it. And John Marvin is so gentle and hesitant to spit it out. And Alec is so delusional and flawed that it just goes nowhere.
Well, that was sad because they couldn't record it. There was some of it that was brought back out, but I don't know. That's what we're talking to Dick and Jim about to see if, I don't even know if there's any way to give an official statement, or I don't know. They got to figure all that out of it.
Still being the big shot.
They don't have the same issues that Randy and the firm and everybody else has.
They don't what?
They aren't having the same issues.
Who is it?
It's more perception than anything at this point.
Who isn't having the same issues?
Dick and Jim. I mean, they're looking at it from a whole different perspective. They're doing it from a way that they manage. That's just what they do. They know how to manage what they're handling.
And remember, Dick and Jim are his criminal defense attorneys, and the brother John Marvin is trying to get him to save the family and the friends. And Alec is he's just too weak and too messed up. He's a child on the inside.
I need to sit down with them and figure out what I can do.
Such a big shot.
Well, it'd be worth a conversation with them to find out. For sure.
And what happened? Did they sit down to figure it out? Did he go to Dick and Jim and say, hey guys, I've hurt a lot of people, I've broken a lot of laws, I've done terrible, awful, horrible things, and people are having to pay the price for my bad behavior, and I want to make it right. I want to make an offer to the judge. I'm willing to, plead guilty, but I want the partners and the friends and the finance group. I want to take full responsibility for everything that happened. I did it, my fault, all the way, period. Leave everybody else alone. And here we are on day 10 of his trial. Over 100 financial charges. He's going to go to trial for every one of those too. There's no reality to him. There's no substance. Just delusional thought.
And it may not matter. I don't know. I feel like that's about the only thing left that, I just don't know the manner to do it. And you only do it if it's something that you did or need to say. I mean, obviously, if it's something that you weren't involved with, you certainly say that.
See, John Marvin still just being so careful not to hurt his feelings. Poor old Alec. All right. Okay, so, it, even though I often talk about this idea of letting your kids deal with the consequences that they create for themselves, because it's easier to learn with childhood problems than it is to learn with adult problems. And he's a perfect example. It would appear that he's been sheltered his whole life. You can hear how tender John Marvin's being, not wanting to upset him. His wife is making money transfers, illegal money transfers to the prison commissary. It's some strange family dynamics, but whatever the reason that they were so gentle with Alex, I don't know. In the end, it did not serve him well, did it? In the end, he never really learned there's limits. The rules are there to keep everybody safe. Follow the damn rules, right? And now, at this point, we got Buster. Buster is following in the steps of his dad, Alec, his little brother, Paul, and his grandparents, right? He's breaking the rules. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. He's not taking the world seriously. He's just treating the world like he's Cinderella at the ball wearing the glass slipper. And he gets caught in a cheating scandal and the glass slipper is gone, correct? Rather than letting Buster figure out what to do about the lost glass slipper, Alec jumps up and shows up with a whole new pair, right? Oh, no, this will be great. We're going to give them $65,000. We're going to get you admitted back into the same law school. And we're going to let you have a mulligan. You get a do-over. None of the bad stuff happened. You didn't get a single bad grade. And that's where we'll leave off tomorrow. All right? So the next phone calls we listen to, we get to find out what happens to Buster and his special treatment being allowed back into the University of South Carolina Law School. All right. Well, we made it kind of a late one tonight. Not a late one for everybody, but a late one for me. I'm not usually on, live this time of night. So it was fun, though. We used to do this when I first started my channel back during the Chris Watts case. We used to go live late into the night. We had a good time. So it was kind of fun to do this tonight. So, all right, everybody. We will be back. We'll do more of this. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment below below the video, and put a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm, and I will be eternally grateful. All right? Y'all have a wonderful evening. I want to remind you, tomorrow, the jury selection begins in the trial of Aiden Fucci, who is accused of murdering Tristan Bailey out of Florida. She's a teenager that was stabbed 114 times. Criminality, the YouTube channel Criminality, that will be Teresa and Michelle. They will be primarily covering the trial. It will be broadcast on Court TV, but I hope you'll go watch it on Criminality on Teresa's channel. Peach Jam and her cousin, our own Teresa Fountain, will be at the trial. So that is exciting. Teresa will have some insider information for us. Pay attention to who all's in the courtroom. Let us know how people are responding. That would be wonderful. All right. So I'm so excited that we're going to actually have people in the courtroom. It's going to be great. All right. So that starts tomorrow. And then we've got day 11 of the Murdaugh trial will be tomorrow. And man, it's getting good. So I'll be back tomorrow night because it's busting wide open. Y'all have a good evening.